So in conclusion, photovoltaics provide green electricity for the home. The simple system uses the grid for storage. You don't have to worry about batteries at all. And right now, you can guarantee yourself 42 cents per watt-hour feed-in tariff. They have extremely long lifetimes. You can usually get warranties for up to 25 years. And they're economic now, depending upon what you're returning right now in your stock portfolio. Anybody beating 4%? And I can assure you that the module prices are dropping. A good place to look at what the prices are, at least in the States, is solarbuzz.com. And so you can track, they give the lowest module cost, the lowest thin film cost, and sort of the average, what you can expect in the industry. Multiply that by 1.25 to get your Canadian prices, and you get a feel for where it is. Solarbuzz. Yeah, I think it's due. So,
I just have a quick question. Sorry, you were saying something about, if I understood you correctly, putting the solar panels at Queens on all the flat roofs.
Yeah.
Aren't very many.
Oh,
or am I?
Oh, we got lots of hidden roofs, and the reason, so we're actually cataloging all the roof areas and their angles.
Flat roofs.
Yeah, and the reason that we're looking at the flat ones is we don't have to fight the aesthetic police. So we will put acres of solar cells up that nobody even has to know about. And if they want fancier systems where you can see them, that's great. We can do that too. But the flat roofs, and this is something slightly interesting about Queens, is when I wanted to get the roof areas, I went to the facilities department and said, what are the roof areas? And they're like, we have no idea. I'm like, what do you mean you have no idea? In other parts of the world, we retar roofs every year or every other year, and you'd have a tarring schedule and you can give me the exact square footage. And they're like, we don't do that. The roofing system at Queens is the most sophisticated, best system I've seen in the entire world. It's like 3 feet thick. It's got multiple layers of insulation. It's beautiful. So they put it up and they don't touch it. And if any of you are building flat roof buildings, I strongly encourage you to touch them. They actually have layers of insulation. It's sweet. It's really nicely done. So I don't know if anybody's involved with that, but they've done a spectacular job. And I'm going to slather the whole thing with solar cells if I have my way.
So did you say that where to get the cheapest solar PV is in the US or China?
China can get you very inexpensive solar cells, but you have to be extremely careful that they've been tested by a reputable source, that they're UL listed, that they just didn't have a sticker stuck on it. And that's a big problem right now. So already, and I know this has happened in Canada because I've tried to help poor companies that are getting smashed by them, where they'll sell panels and say like 50 watts, and you measure it and it's 40 watts every time. So if you buy from a reputable dealer, from companies that you've heard of the panels, so if it's like a Kyocera or a Sanyo or a BP or a GE, like they are standing behind the name, if it's like SolarDux whatever, and I would love if we could start getting panels at their costs, because a lot of them are going out of business right now because the larger installers won't touch it because they have to guarantee the power coming out of them. But that said, a lot more manufacturers are coming out of China. And if you look at who's the top 10, China's showing up out of nowhere and producing gigawatt levels of panels. So those bigger companies, those panels have to work. So I would trust those.
So there aren't any third-party or independent verification systems for solar panel efficiencies?
Oh, no, there are. The National Renewable Energy Lab in the U.S. would be an example. And even here, the universities sometimes will keep track of them. And in fact, this college, I think, has some panels out that are being tested.
But commercial ones that have stickers saying this is certified by?
Usually UL listing. That's if you have that, at least it's supposed to be the power rating that it says it is. So I don't mean to make everybody think that every Chinese panel is not cheap enough. That's not true. Like, there's a lot of good ones, but there's there's also a lot of questionable ones, and I know that for certain.
Would it be reasonable to expect that the price definitely will be coming down because like the production of crystalline silicon, okay, there was constraint there. Now there's a lot of factories, okay, that are starting to
Yeah, there's
open up, okay.
yeah, we are off the price curve. Like, this has been the historical curve, and I've even written papers about this where you just track it down and you say what year it's going to be grid parity. Well, we went like, as soon as I wrote the paper, it went like this. Slightly embarrassing, and now we're getting back down. And so even if we just get, like, a lot of these companies, everybody keeps their actual cost of production close to their chest. A lot of the companies make a lot of money. And I can speak for the thin film companies. Guys like First Solar are producing panels at under $1 a watt. And they're selling to you for $6. They're raking it money. Yes?
Given that Moody's has estimated the cost of new nuclear power is $7.50 a watt, and given that they usually get a lot of subsidies, is it fair to say that solar is already competitive with nuclear costs?
I can say with assurance we demolish them. And they'll set that price per watt does not include the insurance. And that's more than doubles their cost. In Canada, it's even worse than in the States, but in the U.S., put an arbitrary cap on how much they had to pay for insurance, and the government subsidizes the rest of it. But in this, I just found out this year, I thought that they were paying this money the whole time. They weren't even paying, like, when you get a normal insurance policy, you have to pay a premium. Like, they weren't paying it. It was all deferred in case there was an accident. So if there's ever an accident, each company owes a couple $1 billion. But until another big accident happens, they don't have to pay it. So when you look at the actual costs to society, I mean, those are real risks that we all are paying for. Yeah, so without subsidies, it's over. We'll crush them right now. And if we put subsidies the way we're putting them into nuclear, into large-scale fabs, there's no question. I mean, I've written a lot on scaling the solar industry up to kind of like compete with your coal companies, and you have to start making gigawatt fabs. And when you do that, all the thin films that I've looked at have costs under $1. And I mean, that now you're competitive. So you can usually take the cost of the panel and double it to have the installed cost with scale. And so you're looking at $2 a watt. And so now your 5 kilowatt system costs $10,000 and you never have to pay for electricity forever. And that's not bad. Okay, so I'll leave you with this.
Okay. Okay, thanks very much. We're going to switch, to another topic now. Jason Wemble from Renewable Energy is going to talk on wind power and the potential, to generate electrical power that way. Jason?
So we'll just load up here.
It's the next one. If you just hit the
this keyboard.